Getting your first client is oftentimes the most difficult thing in your agency. And I'm going to explain how I got my first client that paid me around $10,000 our first year, and that has paid me over $37,000 over the course of our lifetime. Most people struggle to even get one client to pay them a couple $1,000s. And I'm going to explain and I'm going to show you exactly where I got him. I'll give you all the tactics on how I attracted him into my company and how I was able to retain him and keep him in my company for so long, even though I was a complete beginner, had pimples on my face. And I'm going to even explain how I use all of that to my advantage. It's funny because even the experts out here are having a hard time keeping clients for this long. Now, to be fully transparent, I have had clients before this one, but they were all low ticket clients. They were $150 there for like a website update, $400 for a brand new website, even $1,500 for a brand new website, which I still consider cheap for what I actually delivered, but it wasn't necessarily my first client. This is my first big reoccurring client. So let's break that down. When people start their first company, they're usually complete amateurs. They do a little bit of outreach. They send a couple messages here, couple messages there. Oh, let me cold call some business owners. They do a few cold calls. They get rejected one time, and then they get completely disheartened when they start facing rejection. But the professional understands that this is all part of the process. It's all part of the learning curve. And this is important that you get through this, because at the end of the day, this is all part of your journey. Getting through all the hard parts, getting through, pushing past all the difficulties is going to be the story that you tell and is what's going to make you deserve the success that you get later on in your journey. Look, the hard times will come. You're going to get clients that leave, you're going to get rejection, and you have to know how to handle this. And it all starts in the beginning when you start doing the cold calls, you start doing the sales calls, and you're getting rejected. This is building you up as a person, and it's giving you real-time feedback on who you are, on your persuasive abilities, on your sales skills. And as you evolve, as you develop into your shoes, and as you become a professional, this will reflect on your business. And as you can see here, as I am scrolling, he has submitted a lot of payments to us over and over and over. He's been with us for a very long time. I signed him up for $1,000 per month, and he's been on that same plan for a very long time. And why would he cancel? If you keep delivering good results, there's no reason clients are going to leave, especially if you establish a relationship like I'm going to show you in this video. And if you're wondering, why does he pay you so much? I'm going to show you right here. This is his business. So we track the phone calls that are coming in and the leads that are coming into his business. So I clicked unique callers, meaning these are people that are uniquely calling him. So if one person calls twice, that counts as one lead. We got 120 callers over the past 30 days into his business. As you can see, we're getting 4 callers a day, right? Some 1, some 5. This day he got 12 calls, right? This day he got 9 leads, 4 leads, right? 5 leads, 3 leads. So he's getting a ton of results. And even if he closes a couple of these, it pays for our entire freaking service. So it absolutely makes sense for him to pay this. Not only that, but honestly, I could charge way more. The only reason we haven't increased prices is because I love this client and he's been with me for a very long time. Now, look, I wasn't always like this. In fact, I had a job. What a lot of people don't comment that I get both on my videos and also inside of our community is that people have jobs or people have school. And people think that I just had all this time to dedicate towards my agency and towards my business, which is completely wrong. I literally had a full-time career and I was doing this on weekends and also after work. This is my cubicle job. So in the beginning, I was a gymnastics coach, I was a security guard, I had a bunch of other jobs, but this is after I got a cubicle job and I started making a little bit of money, but I did not like it. In fact, after this video that I'm gonna play for you, I actually quit my job a few weeks after this and went really hard and really deep into my business. But this is where I was working. And as you can see here, we have some beer because we are working like a 14-hour day. There was a project and a deadline that we needed to hit on my team and kind of on my department that I'm in. And this was absolutely terrible. We were there all day slaving away. And so what they actually made me do was speak Ukrainian, and I gave a Ukrainian cheers in this company. So kind of funny to listen to and kind of funny to hear, but this is where it started for me, right? This cubicle, you can see how tiny it is. You can see my office right here with this little laptop and this little box that I have. And the interesting thing about this is people decorated their cubicles. I never decorated mine because I knew I wasn't going to be here for a very long time. And I was busy, man. I was working a lot of hours and I couldn't dedicate full time to the agency. But after I got a couple clients like the ones that I'm going to be sharing with you today, I was able to quit and I was able to travel full time. And this was my setting when I was growing my company. I literally had this little desk here. I had this old external monitor. And as you can see, this picture is actually very meaningful to me because this is where I started my company on this exact day. So what you're not seeing here is that I'm watching a video on how to actually open up an LLC and I'm doing research. On this screen, I'm literally opening up my company, trying to follow along on YouTube, making sure I do all this correctly. And this is where I was at, right? Not an ideal environment, but I did have books next to me. I always wanted inspiration. And this is before YouTube was so big and you had all these YouTubers sharing all their secrets. All I had was books. All I had was Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography that I had to go off of and other inspirational books that inspired me to be different. Now, what you're also not seeing is that some of those books were literally rentals from the library because I wanted to make sure to save my money that I can reinvest in gas, that I can reinvest in, go seeing my clients and different softwares. So I would actually get books from the library so that I didn't have to purchase them and I can still get all the value into my brain without needing to own all of them. And I remember that point when I was sitting in that cubicle in that video that you just saw, and I'm just leaning back like this. And it's like about maybe like 12 hours in, maybe it's like 13 hours in. It's almost time to go home. I got there early in the day. And in fact, I drove there, right, in the snow. And it was dark outside. It's before the sun even rose. And as you see in that little cubicle, I didn't have a window. The wall was a couple cubicles back. And I didn't have something I can look into. And I did not see any daylight that entire day. I sat there, I was working, and I was sitting there programming, doing things. And it was such a shame because when I left, it was dark again. And I remember leaving that office and I had like a key card and I'm walking by the door. I scan the key card, I open it, and I realize it's dark. Now I'm a guy in my early 20s at this point, and I'm sitting there in my car in the dark thinking to myself, what am I doing? Why am I working this job? I opened up my phone, and this is back when everyone was using Snapchat. And I would open up my Snap. I have some snaps from a couple of my friends, and I can see them in college. I can see them partying. I can see them having fun. I can see my other friends are getting things done, and they're walking around. They're dating. They're doing all this fun stuff. And I'm over here freaking slaving away. And I know that I'm sitting in my car. I know that I have to go home and I have to prospect. I have to continue trying to get clients so that one day I can leave. And this was the sad reality of my situation, but for most people, they're in the same shoes, and it is difficult. It is hard. I understand. I was there, and I had FOMO. I had fear of missing out. All my friends were having fun, and I don't even know if I'm on the right path. Is this going to even work? Is this going to even pan out for me? And I decided a few weeks later to take a full risk and go all in on me. And I knew that if I can just get a couple clients, I didn't have many expenses. I kept my expenses low. And if I had a couple clients, that I'm going to absolutely come out on top of all of this. I didn't have any courses. I didn't have any experience in anything. And my strategy was literally just to open up a phone book. And that's exactly how I got this initial client that paid me over $10,000, over $30,000, was I opened up a phone book, and I didn't have a niche. This was even before the advice of get a niche. Also, real quick, if you want our client getting scripts, our client getting strategies, our outreach, DMs, literally everything A to Z, then you can go ahead and check out the free course in the description. If you want all of our snapshots imported into your account, I'm providing all of that. It's completely free. If you don't have a high-level account, then you can sign up for a free 30-day trial down below, and I will give you access to everything, sales call recordings, additional services that you can actually offer, how to sell those services and how to charge high ticket. Everything is in there. So let's dive back into the video. So I decided to open up a phone book and just call businesses that I thought might be a good fit for my services. And at this point, I was offering web design and I had just learned some SEO. So I was offering those two things. By the way, SEO is very difficult to sell. I was selling search engine optimization. The way you sell it is like this. Hey, I'm going to optimize your website, and in 3, 4, 5 months, maybe you'll start getting leads. Right? The worst offer ever. But it is one of the best offers. If you get SEO right, that client is going to profit for a very, very long time. And that's what I was selling. I was selling web design and SEO. And I would open up this phone book and I would do it after work. I would do it on weekends and I would grind it out while all my friends thought I was crazy. And at times I thought I was crazy. Should I be enjoying my youth? All these doubts creeping into my mind. Should I be doing other things? Should I just go get loans and go get a bunch of student debt? I didn't know what to do, but I did know that what I had to do was open up this phone book and at least give it a try. I needed to become very consistent with my outreach. I didn't have a script. So I opened up the phone book and I simply looked at who has the biggest ad in the phone book. Because these guys I know are spending money on advertising. And all I have to do is help them transition to being online. And that was the big challenge, right? They're spending money. I just have to take their money and transition it into online ads because I know it's going to be more valuable than a freaking phone book, right? And I see this one business. He had a full page in the phone book. And I remember thinking, you know what? This guy can probably afford my services if he could afford this. Now, I didn't have a niche. The closest thing I had to a niche was anyone that would freaking pay me, okay? And so I decided to call him and I didn't have a script. I simply called him and out of the blue, I said, hey, if you have a quick second, I saw your ad and I actually made up, I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually made up some stuff that I saw his trucks on the road. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I basically mentioned like, hey, I was driving down Miller Sport Boulevard, which is a road in Buffalo, and I saw one of your trucks and I just wanted to reach out, just wanted to ask you if you're still bringing on more estimates and if you're still doing more work. And I was lucky because I called after business hours and I actually got the owner. I was speaking directly to the owner. And this was a huge icebreaker because a lot of people are trying to cold call now and they have these scripts, all these fancy things. They sound like marketers. What I had going for me was I sounded like I didn't know what I was doing. And I also led with the fact that I saw his trucks on the road. So it instantly made me stand out from all the other marketing companies. And when he reached out, he probably felt like I was some kid calling him because I was. And I basically told him that I found a couple things on his website that I could potentially improve. And also when I Googled him, because I saw his trucks on the road, I actually wasn't able to find him. And that is true. He appeared like number 3 for his own business name. He had a very generic business name, but I brought all that up and I asked him if he would be willing to chat with me. I told him I work with companies all over Buffalo. I'm just local. I meet with everyone at coffee shops face to face. And I asked him if he would be willing to meet up and I could show him for free on a couple of things that he can do to improve that. I had free strategies, like directory listings and that kind of stuff that I wanted to show him, and I would buy him coffee. And that was essentially my message. And it's exactly what we did. A few days later, I'm pulling up and I'm driving in my little car. I had a 2001 Hyundai, and I'm driving to go see this client at a Tim Hortons, which my Canadians will know what that is. It's like a lower end Starbucks, and I'm sitting there and we meet up and I just meet him face to face. And one thing I did have going for me is I read some negotiation books and all of them pretty much said that you need to let the other person talk first. You have to let them tell you about their situation. I didn't have any pain point questions. I had no script. I just got there and I started asking him stuff about his business. And I would ask him, hey, so how many years have you been in business? Oh yeah, why'd you start it, by the way? What gets you excited? How many trucks do you have on the road? What is your goal in the future? What do you feel like is the main pain point? How's the newspaper ad working for you? I brought that up as well. And he told me he wasn't even tracking anything. So he was doing this full page ad, but he didn't have a separate phone number on there. So he didn't know how many phone calls he got. And one thing I pitched him also is I said, look, next time we do a newspaper ad, why don't we just put a tracking number? All that is like a separate phone number that forwards to your main line, but we can see how many phone calls it gets. So we can see, okay, you spent thousands of dollars. How many phone calls did that phone line get? And he liked this idea. That was the first thing that kind of roped him in, just tracking. And again, this is before GoHighLevel. This is before all these crazy softwares. And I was just using CallRail, which that's all that they do. They just track phone numbers. And so he was very intrigued with that offer. The other one was I told him, hey, you're already spending so much money on advertising. If we can just optimize your website a little bit, you can convert more of your website visitors into actual paying customers. So that way you can maximize all the traffic that you're getting. Also, what happens when someone goes into Google and they type in your name? And I also had my laptop and I put it in front of me. I opened it. I went in a new incognito tab. And I Googled his company name. I said, this is your company name, right? Boom, search. And he was number 3. And I said, dude, what happens when you're doing this TV commercial or this, newspaper ad and these people Google you? Because they just want to see your reviews. They see you in the newspaper. So boom, they Google you and you're number 3. What if they click the number 1 guy and they call him, right? What if they go on their website, one of your competitors' websites, and then they think, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's reputable, and then they call him. So you paid for advertising for one of your competitors. How crazy is that? And that's initially how I got him roped in. And so he wanted to redo his website, and that's exactly what we did. And then also he wanted more Google reviews. I didn't have a Google reviews campaign, so all I did was I gave him a link. And I said, hey, send this link out. It was the link officially from Google. And I said, send this out to everyone after you complete one of your projects. And he started doing that, because before he just said, hey, go on Google, leave me a review. So I gave him something that's more actionable. And again, I'm just a kid at this point. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I was still able to give him so much value in his business. Now, I didn't close him on the spot. I didn't even know how to close him, to be honest. I didn't have a closing message. I didn't even give him a price at that point. But what I did do is I told him I could help him for free. So he gave me access to his website, and I moved around a couple things in the website, and I put his phone number at the top. I put a contact form at the top, and I also got him another tracking number because I already had the CallRail account, and to get another number, it was like a couple bucks. So I got him that number, and I said, look, why don't we put this tracking number on your website, and then we can track how many calls you get. And then next time you get a newspaper ad, use this phone number. And so I gave him those 2 phone numbers, and then after that, he actually told me, he said, oh, okay, by the way, how much does all this cost? We haven't even talked about it. And I told him, yeah, that's fine. You can just pay me $150 a month if you just want me to manage the website, and I'll make sure it's always updated because you already have a nice website. Or I told him we could rebuild the website for a couple $1,000s. I think I said $2,000 at this point. He didn't want to rebuild it. He just wanted to change a bunch of stuff. And he wanted to add a couple pages. So I charged him $500 or $600 in the beginning to add those couple pages. And that was what we did initially. After I got him those few Google reviews, he asked me, how can I appear higher? And again, I was learning SEO, and this was kind of one of my strategies to pull clients in. I would fix a couple things, I would point out a couple other things, and then I would try to upsell them into the SEO services. So then I told him, look, we can do SEO on your website. It's going to be $1,000 per month. And we're going to take your website. I'm going to do my very best to rank it to the top of Google and to the top of not just when someone Googles your name, right? So when they Google your name, you're not going to be at the top there, but I want you to be at the top when people Google carpet cleaning near me. That was a big keyword, because if you do that, you're going to get crazy, insane amounts of business from efforts like this. And he liked that. He was a fan. And I even told him that I can meet with him every few weeks or once a month if he likes at that same coffee shop that was by my house. And that's exactly how I closed the client. He was paying me $1,000 a month for SEO. I was also managing his website. Later, after about a year, we ended up doing a brand new website. And then for that, I charged him $5,000 for that new website because he wanted to upgrade it. He wanted all these bells and whistles that we couldn't add to his existing site. And that's essentially how we did it. And in the first couple of months, we just met like twice a month at this coffee shop, and we just did handshake deals. And that's what he valued. And he knew that I was a beginner. He knew that I only worked with him. In fact, he even asked me at one point, hey, do you have any other clients? And I'm not going to lie, I lied. I said, yes, I have tons of other clients. I didn't. I had like one other client that I did a website for. And so sometimes he messaged me and he wanted some updates, but I didn't really have any clients. I wanted to seem cooler than I was though. And I think he saw through it, to be honest. I think it's the best policy is just to be honest. And looking back, I should have just told him, no, you're my first, but I'm going to do an amazing job for you because this is all that I'm working on. And so the cool thing about this that I learned is that he didn't really care that I was inexperienced. He cared that I gave him so much attention. Everything was on a handshake. And some of these local business owners completely value that handshake relationship. Now, I haven't seen this client in many, many years. We only met face-to-face for maybe like 2, 3, 4 months. And then he just called me. And then we just kind of stopped meeting. And that was fine. And he was happy to keep paying me. So this client turned into remote. And that's why in the beginning, I sometimes suggest, look, work with local clients. You don't even really need any skills. A lot of these business owners, your advantage is just that you can meet them face to face. And this is so big, and people underestimate how local business owners actually work and how much they love meeting people face to face. And this was my biggest asset. I was inexperienced. I was cold calling and I sounded different. I sounded like a beginner. And I always led with the fact that I'm local. Hey, I saw your trucks driving by this Tim Hortons or this Starbucks on this road and so forth. And I would instantly connect with people and they would listen to what I had to say. So even though I had no script, even though I was a complete beginner, I still was able to get business all because I listened very well. I asked good questions and I was genuinely intrigued by them because at this point I was reading books by entrepreneurs and all this stuff. And I was just excited. I was excited to talk to entrepreneurs and I was excited about business. I was excited about growing and he felt that energy. People like that. When you're energetic, when you're just happy, when you're positive, people want to do business with people like that. His alternative was to go work with some big company and salespeople and account managers and this and that. No, he would much prefer to work with me. And that's essentially how I got my first client to sign on and has been with me to this day. Every time we talk and every time we chat on the phone, we catch up, and sometimes we bring up those initial conversations. Now we have a history. I can't see us not having an amazing relationship forever. And I've told him since, like, dude, you were one of my first big clients. And he's happy to be a part of my journey and he's happy to support me. The big lesson here is to take action. Even though it's not perfect, it can absolutely work. And especially if you work with local clients, you can get to a full-time income with just people around you, just businesses around you. And they'll be happy to give you money because you're going to give them that attention that no one else will. A lot of these business owners value that. And that's something that no one really teaches. I don't know why more people don't talk about this. And it's great to have a script and to, be good at sales and all this stuff, of course, when you want to scale your business. But in the beginning, use all of that to your advantage and meet with clients face to face. It can absolutely grow your company and you're going to learn way more from doing that than if you just do Zoom calls. You'll learn more about how to handle yourself. You'll personally evolve. And this will allow you to get to that next level. You're going to have way more confidence when you do Zoom calls after you meet with business owners face to face. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. It is nerve-wracking in the beginning. You're going to drive there. You're going to feel your hands start to sweat. Your back is sweating and you're sitting there. You're about to sit face to face with a CEO of a company that maybe is doing millions of dollars a year. And if you're anything like me, you'll probably be at least a little bit nervous, but it will absolutely be worth it. Then after you're making thousands of dollars a month, and you're making a full-time income, then what you can do is switch to a more remote route and then start closing people on Zoom. You can travel the world, live in amazing places like this here, and do whatever you want. So up to you. I've seen people grow their businesses locally like I've done, and I've also seen people grow their company starting right out of the gate, doing everything remote and closing clients through Zoom that are not local to them. So know that you have both options. I think it's much easier to do it locally. If you want to see how I close clients and some of the client getting strategies and scripts that we have, I'm going to link up a video right here.